Welcome to the next vlog in the vlog series From Data to Value. My name is Henrik. Today, this vlog is about trying to wrap your head around the implications of AI first and data first within your company. What does it really mean? What is the fundamental things we need to change? Now, in order to talk about implications, we need to understand some basic context first. We need to set the scene. And I think this is actually one of the key things why we are failing to get to operational value from AI in especially maybe traditional companies. We don't really understand the full context of what we're doing. We are trying to jump to the last hyped word, but the fundamentals is simply not there. So let me demystify these fundamentals for you. That's what this vlog is all about in the first point. The second point, let's talk a little bit about what that means in terms of implications. Now, the way I would like to set the context, number one, let's contrast the traditional IT systems and the modern IT systems. Let's contrast what it means to, as we have done for 30 years, increase computerization. We have done more and fancy databases for years. What's the big deal? Why is this digitalization all of a sudden? Why do we need to use that word? Or why do we use the words AI first, data first? Now, the way that I think for me was the easiest way to wrap my head around that was that I've stumbled upon a model, the DAIR model. It was firstly coined in 1996 as a way to explain how you take data and information to value. Now, DAIR is short for data, turn into information, turn into knowledge, turn into action, turn into results. So how to turn data streams into results that gives value streams. That basic concept, if I now look at our traditional IT systems, where do they work? They work on the lower levels. You have a workflow, you have your data, you have your source data, your transactional data, your master data, you have your database. Plus and minus, 5th grader math we're talking about, in order to describe the world, what has happened. Then, in a traditional company, in an analog company, we leave it to the humans to take it further up in this DAIR model. It's the human insights, the human decisions. It's the human actions that turns data into results. If I now contrast this with AI first, data first, it is very, very simple. What I'm trying to do inside my systems is to turn the whole DAIR model as a systemized entity. The whole stack is now systemized. And if I'm going to use some fancy words, if you're in IT, you would talk about your data sources. Where is the data coming from? You would talk about how you assemble data, how you store data, how you transform data, how you build it together in a database. And then on top of that, what's the analytics that goes into this? But if you want to do algorithmic processes, if you want to do AI first, data first, you don't stop here. You build a business rule engine out of your analytics. And then you systemize your business rules in your systems on top. All of a sudden, you have done the whole DAIR stack inside your system. You have automated a process, a system that is much more knowledge intense than what is normally done with the traditional IT systems. So this is the first part of the context, understanding DAIR, understanding that we are trying to systemize the whole stack. Lesson number one. Lesson number two, we go fast today, yeah? And if you don't follow this, Google it. You need to know this to know your context to be successful. Right, let's break this DAIR model down now and take another angle of the same topic. Have you heard about the analytical ladder? Have you heard about those analytical concepts that we usually talk about? Descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, decision support, decision automation, algorithmic process. So the journey to go from a data model to an algorithmic process, described by the analytical ladder. The first part of the analytical ladder, reactive, looking at the past. The future path, more forward-looking. After forward-looking, predictive, we go into what is the decisions we need to take here. Now, if we break this down now, and we're using this DAIR model, right? When you do descriptive analysis, you need to have a data model. When you go into predictive, I need to be clear now on the words. When you do predictive analysis, you use an analytical model on top of your data model. So the data model comes first, then you can grow with your analytics on top. If you don't have a data model, you don't have the starting point for analytics. So analytical modeling is about what algorithm suits what algorithmic problem. You know, is it regression analysis, random forest, you name it. Next, to go to prescriptive, you go from analytical modeling to decision modeling. Most referenced decision model concept out there is the OODA model. Right? You can Google that as well. I will put the word on it, but it's around how you make decisions. So you need to model the decision, and then when you model your decision, if you want to go algorithmic process, you need to model your process. So business process modeling. So here I have a stack that follows DAIR. Data model, analytical model, decision model, business process model. So why do I tell you this context? Now, if you don't get that context, if you don't understand that you need to do that to go from here, to go from descriptive to algorithmic process, you don't essentially know what you're doing. You don't know what you're building. Okay. So, think about this. Study it. Google it. Let's now talk about implications for the last minutes. Let's carefully break this down into some core implications for any company that wants to go AI first, data first, that wants to sort of understand how they orient themselves and organize themselves in this. Let's talk simply from a very concrete micro perspective first. First off, let's consider the competencies we need to have. Data modeling, typically IT, data engineer, or data model, he was called a DBA before, yeah? He used to understand the information model and put that into a database. When I go to the analytic part, I need to have a data scientist. I need to have the guy who really understands the mathematics, the statistical models, and know which analytical model is fit for purpose for the problem at hand, to predict something. Then we move on. I want to make a decision model. Now we're getting into hardcore domain expertise. You need to know exactly the business domain you're in so you can model the decision you're taking as a human. If we talk about AI, it becomes extremely interesting because we're talking about narrow AI. AI today is solving very, very, very specific problems, whatever they are, to find the right picture of cancer or to, whatever. It boils down to someone with super duper domain expertise, like a cancer researcher working with the data scientist to decide upon, what picture of a tumor is cancerous if I have a spot or something, as an example. So you get to the point where you need to work these guys, the data engineer, the data scientist, the domain expert, as a team. So you have come to a path where your physical process is not anymore separated from your digital process. It's the same. So you need to have your core operational team in whatever process you're working in having the capabilities that we're talking about. Another key topic here. When you look at data in this way and you realize that the algorithm is your asset, the information that you're working on is actually the hardcore part of your service or part of doing this algorithmic process, you really need to start treating information as a strategic asset. For a data native or for a big search engine company, this comes natural. This is their business. This is their core business. For a traditional company who has been all their lives, the journey may be a 100-year-old company, they've been focused on a physical process, most likely. Are we in manufacturing? Are we, do we have big assets of production? Do we have a customer in a store? So we need to not only understand the front end on how that interaction with the customer goes on, not only how to manage the asset, but we need to now have the competences and the skill sets and the technologies to work the whole DAIR model, as I explained. So you need to manage your asset through the whole model. What is your raw data assets? What is your information assets? What is your algorithm assets? So you can reuse them. To make this whole journey in silos, in different stacks, and replicating the same core data many times doesn't make any sense. It can't be justifiable from a cost perspective. Right. So this is one core topic, information as a strategic asset, and really taking your whole investment as a company in that direction. The other part is very simple. Now, if DAIR is the core part of turning data streams into revenue streams, it simply means that that is part and an integral part of your core process. So your human capital and your structural capital, your operating model as structural capital, your people, your competencies, your roles, they need to work the DAIR model, right? Now, what we will explore in the next coming episode is the core building blocks. What is the technology stack all about? What is the operating model all about? What is the governance all about? What is information asset management all about? So today, I wanted you to wake up to the full context. I wanted you to understand the fundamental implications of information as an asset and to organize around DAIR. If you get that, if you wrap your head around that, we have moved to the next level where we can talk about the building blocks because they are all a consequence of those fundamental ideas. What do you think? How would you describe the world? What is the difference between computerization and digitalization? Huh? Love to hear your thoughts. Until the next one, have a nice one.